Welcome. This is Dr. Shiva Ayyadurai. We're going to be talking about a very important compound called quercetin. You can see quercetin is found in many fruits, vegetables. Quercetin is actually ionophore. It supports the increases the bioavailability of zinc. But first of all, what's important to understand is quercetin is a bioflavonoid. And when you study bioflavonoids, you find out these bioflavonoids are in fresh fruits and vegetables and all sorts of dosages. But bioflavonoids, when you can really focus on those extracts, have very powerful effects. So again, hesperidin is a bioflavonoid, right? So bioflavonoids do not get the respect they deserve, but they have a profound value to our body. This way, when people say eat fruits and vegetables, we're talking about actually consuming those bioflavonoids. So let's talk about that. So this is a structure of quercetin. You notice it's got a bunch of helices here, 1, 2, 3. Oh, this one has 2 OH groups. Again, 2 OH groups. So these are sort of mirrored over here. And then you have this other internal group here with the double bond O and an OH. But quercetin is actually found in more than 20 fruits and vegetables. 20 fruits and vegetables. Its highest level is found in apples and onions. So I just want you to focus on that. Some people consider an onion the queen of the vegetable kingdom. And, people say apple a day keeps the doctor away. But as you can see, quercetin appears in both of those. It's found in high levels in apples and high level in onions. And it has potential benefits to overall health and disease resistance. And quercetin has GRAS, which means generally recognized as safe. If someone says, oh, is that vitamin or mineral GRAS, GRAS? So here's something important to learn. In a lot of the supplements field, people look if something is GRAS, which means generally recognized as safe. So it's GRAS status and has no known side effects. So this is important to remember because you may have people saying, oh, be careful of that. That's dangerous, right? Well, remember, everything is all about dosages, but quercetin has GRAS status, generally recognized as safe, and it has no known side effects. So that's the molecular structure of quercetin. So Cytosol is really a technology platform. And what Cytosol allows us to do is, first of all, we can eliminate the need for animal testing because we can literally mine all these papers, extract out the ones that are curated and are of high quality in a particular area of interest. And then from those, you can mathematically model the molecular functions behavior to understand what's going on. And that's what Cytosol allows us to do. And this is back in 2003 to 7, I created as part of my PhD work, and that is known as Cytosol. But we can mine the known research, extract it, and then we can understand the molecular pathways. And today we're going to be focused on the immune system so we can look at it relative to the immune system. Now, one of the things people need to understand that I keep hitting upon is that I was doing an interview today, and I was saying to this guy, I said, do you know that big pharma is having major problems? He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, take a company like Pfizer. How much revenue did they make in 2012? And I told him they made around 65 billion. And I said, how much revenue did they make last year? And he goes, oh, they made trillions. I said, no. I said, they actually lost 25 billion. So Pfizer has lost they're down to 40 billion in revenue. They lost 25 billion in revenue. Just think about that. So there's been an incredible loss in amount of revenue in one company like Pfizer because of this. It takes an incredible amount of money to produce a single drug to test in test tubes and labs and to test it on animals. Then they go to phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. These are human trials. Well, 13 years. And what's happening is they spent a lot of money to take a product through this process, a lot of money, a lot of R&D. But guess what? The FDA, that's that purple line, is not approving their products because of the side effects. So this is what's going on right now in the world. Pharma companies are failing because of the inability of their innovation process really to be able to handle the fact that the products that they're producing are not viable because even the FDA is not allowing it. That's why that graph is important. So just sort of take a mental mind map of that graph and you'll see they spend more and more money, less and less products are coming out of this process. Now, again, for those of you who we know right now unfortunately, some of these social media sites, you have to validate everything and you have to prove everything, or they are arbitrary, or they're arbitrary anyway, even if you can validate it. But an important thing to understand is when we look at quercetin, we're looking at the actual, if you go to PubMed, which is the National Library of Medicine's site where they store every research paper includes most of them that are done in medicine. And what you can see here is when you go and type in quercetin, you will find there are nearly 20,971 research articles referring to quercetin, 275 clinical trials, and it's been studied for over 73 years of scientific research are out there. 73 years of scientific research. This little graph, I don't know if you can notice, you can see in the last 30 years, there's been explosive research in quercetin. Again, it's a bioflavonoid and quite a number of research, 21,000 articles. So how would you go through 21,000 research articles? So that's why one of the capabilities that I did for my PhD work coming out of my MIT work was the ability to really look at those research papers, mine them, figure out what are the valuable ones, so you can build a much more systems-based understanding. I wanted to let you know that we use the technology here. We've helped many, many companies over the last 16 years, a lot of smart, innovative companies, but we decided with all the mathematical models we've created, why don't we try to use this to compute the best product we could think of from the science out there for reducing pain and inflammation, pain and discomfort. And that resulted in us creating MV25 using cytosol. We're gonna have more products that are gonna be coming, but let me just show you what MV25 is about for those of you who haven't heard about it. But this is using cytosol in a beneficial way, not to just do research, but find combination therapies.
Hi, I'm Barbara Ann. My hands would cramp up so that I couldn't hold cards or knit or crochet, and they would go like that. And I'd have to use this when I played cards with my grandkids. And I started taking that MV25. After a bit, I was able to hold cards in my hand, very, very little cramping, hardly at all anymore. MV25.
Hi, my name is Sandy. I'm a Taekwondo instructor. I tore my ACL during Taekwondo. I had a lot of pain and limited mobility. I've been taking the MV25 for about 6 months now. After the first week, I noticed a big difference. After the second week, almost literally no pain.
My name is Jeremy, and I suffer from a lower back problem. Hurt my back at work years ago, and I can go to the chiropractor, do all kinds of different things, and nothing seems to help. And I decided to try MV25. I didn't notice a difference immediately, but within a few days, the pain went away, and it stayed away. I've continued to take it, and even when I do things that I shouldn't do, it seems to go away a lot quicker than it ever did before.
It's clean food certified. It's made in the US. If you go to BAShiva.com, right on the shop, you'll click there, or you can go right to mv25.life, either way. And then from there, you can click on the bottle and you can order. Please take advantage of it because first of all, it's going to help you. It's going to help our movement, and it really supports the fact that we want to take science-based approaches to natural products. So quercetin. Quercetin is a phenolic compound also. That's what these bioflavonoids are. And it's the richest component of dietary phenolic compounds, okay? And it exerts its medicinal benefits from two very important ways that it works. One is through its antioxidant properties and its anti-inflammatory properties. And quercetin and its derivatives represent 90% of the phenolic compounds in onions. I did a whole talk on onions, why onion makes onions cry, that was called. But the key thing to understand is that 90% of onions have a quercetin and its derivatives. So that's a very, very important takeaway from this in terms of understanding one of the big sources of quercetin. But the other thing is it has antioxidant properties and anti-inflammatories. What does antioxidant mean? As you age, your body rusts, right? As you're under stress, if you're exposed to pollution, your body produces what's called reactive oxygen species, oxidizing agents. And quercetin goes up and eats all that up. Antioxidizing agents, so it's like cleaning up the rust. So that's antioxidant. Anti-inflammatories, look, if you accidentally hit your hand with a hammer, God forbid that happens, but you get swelling and your body will release and turn on inflammation to go support it. So you want a certain level of inflammation, but you don't want inflammation continuing when you don't need it. So it has also an anti-inflammatory effect, okay? So that's the other piece of quercetin. The next aspect is let's look at the biological aspect. The top two are antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, but that's not only, it's anti-carcinogenic. And by the way, all of this is in the known science. People have spent a lot of their lives on it, figuring this out. It is is anti-mutagenic. It's anti-proliferative. So those three things are the things that make sure if you have cancer, it doesn't proliferate. Cardioprotective, hepatoprotective, so protects the heart, protects the liver, hepatoprotective, protects your brain, neuroprotective, and it's anti-obesity. So just look at that. So this is a systems medicine in some ways. A systems medicine means it's not only affects one system, it affects many, many subsystems in your body. Heart, brain, as well as liver. In Chinese medicine, for example, liver is considered the wood element, which fuels fire element, which is heart, cardioprotective. And obviously, brain is part of the fire element. So you can see it has powerful effects on both, if you're looking from a Chinese medicine standpoint, on wood as well as the fire element. So there we go. So it has many different biological effects. Let's look at the health benefits. Well, the health benefits are many areas of your body: skin health, brain health, joint health, liver health, cardiovascular health, immune health, which we'll focus on today, reproductive health, and metabolism. That's why it's anti-obesity, because it supports metabolism. So how does the immune system work? Well, quick education for some of you, maybe review, but the immune system is a very complex system of systems. It's not just only one thing. The immune system has the innate immune system. It has the adaptive immune system. It's got many other systems. Unfortunately, the conventional medicine only focused on two of those, the innate and the adaptive. And the innate system is the stuff that gobbles up viruses. These are called macrophages. So if a virus enters your lungs, the macrophages, which are in your eyes, your nose, your throat, the back of in your gut, those things, the macrophages, they're in your lung linings. They're the things that go first, try to take out that virus by gobbling it up, put it in sort of non-scientific terms. But after they gobble up the virus, then in this simplistic model of the innate and the adaptive, then the thing that's gobbled up kicks in your T cells and your B cells, which create antibodies, and then your CD8 T cells, which try to kill the infected cell. But it's a second part. But in this model, first you have the innate, and then you have the adaptive, and if you get antibodies, voila, you're. But the reality is this is actually not true. It's not the whole picture. The reality is your body's immune system is far more complex. It involves the interferon system. It involves a microbiome. It involves a virome. It involves a neural system, the gut-brain axis. In fact, this is what I presented at the National Science Foundation, where I was asked to give one of the prestige lectures a couple of years ago. So you can see that the immune system is far more complex, and it involves things like interferons, which stand between the innate and the adaptive. And the interferons look like these chemical structures on the left. For example, there's many interferons, interferon alpha and beta. They're virtually present in every cell in your body, and they're the first defense, and they are the things that create the antiviral environment. So the point being that independent of antibodies, related to it though, but independent, the interferon system kicks in far long before than the antibody system. And no one talks about this, but if your interferon system is working properly, guess what? Your body will automatically go activate the natural killer cells. And that's why there are people who will be asymptomatic, they won't have antibodies, they got infected by something, and they're absolutely fine because their interferon system was strong and healthy and it took it out. But the bottom line is the immune system is not just two boxes that, unfortunately, is what medical doctors learn. It's all of this system. It's an orchestra. So when you look at quercetin on immune health, it has four important things quercetin does. First of all, it upregulates, which means it supports the innate immune system. Immune cell proliferation, which means it makes sure you get strong immune cell response. Second, it modulates inflammatory cytokines, so you don't have the cytokine storm. Third, quercetin is very good for lowering allergy responses, and quercetin also acts as an ionophore for zinc. Again, all of this is recorded in the scientific evidence. So let's look at it modulates the innate immune system. So quercetin, for example, you have things called natural killer cells, NK cells. Natural killer cells are the things that take out microbes, bacteria, antiviruses, and fungi. And quercetin supports your innate immune system to promote the proliferation of innate immune cells, such as anti-infection CD16 natural killer cells. And that supports the proliferation, of innate immune cell, leads to antimicrobial effect, antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. So the key takeaway here is that quercetin supports the upregulation of these natural killer cells, and those natural killer cells have a multi-part effect: antimicrobial, antiviral, antibacterial, and antifungal. So please consider that quercetin downstream, quercetin's effect here downstream has all these effects because it upregulates these natural killer cells. That's first. Number two, it modulates the inflammatory cytokines. As many of you know, as any scientist knows who really knows the immune system, is that it's not the virus that comes and eats your body up. It's the fact that different viruses go into different parts of your body. And if your body is weak, your body can overreact, which means it doesn't have the right shock absorbers. And your body literally starts eating itself up. And we're looking at this is through inflammation. So quercetin puts out lipoxygenase, IL-8 and IL-6. Quercetin, when you have lipoxygenase right here, that creates inflammation. Sorry about that. Lipoxygenase creates inflammation. And quercetin inhibits lipoxygenase. But there are two other cytokines, IL-8 and 6, which also lead to inflammation. And quercetin stops all that. So in this case, quercetin has an inhibitory effect. It inhibits lipoxygenase and it also inhibits IL-6 and IL-8. Third thing is quercetin modulates allergies, allergic response. Those of you who are looking at what's going on now, you want to talk to your medical professional, but it's in the Northeast, it's pollen season. So you have a lot of pollen. And when you get allergic reaction, what happens is your body is releasing something called histamines. And histamines are released through these cells called a basophil. So basophil put out these little purple thing called histamines, and that's the thing that gets the allergic response. And histamines are implicated in nuts and shellfish and pollen. And guess what? Quercetin comes in and it suppresses those histamines. That's the other thing. Next, you see that the fourth thing is, this is really, really important. I want everyone to listen to this. Hundreds and thousands of papers written showing zinc helps stop viral replication. Lots and lots of clinical studies done on this. Well, the problem is you want to make sure zinc goes into your cell. It's bioavailable. Well, what's fascinating is look at this. Look what quercetin does. Quercetin is an ionophore. I want everyone to listen to it. It's an ionophore, and that increases the ion transport into the cell across the cell membrane. So if this is the membrane of a cell, here's the outside of the cell, here's the inside. Well, quercetin acts as an ionophore, which means taking quercetin in combination with zinc, quercetin increases zinc's cellular uptake and increases antiviral activity. We know that zinc has a powerful effect in stopping viral replication, but because of quercetin, the ion pores in the cell membrane open up, and boom, zinc can squeeze through. And the other examples of ionophores are chloroquine, EGCG from green tea, resveratrol, ivermectin, which is an antiparasite. So zinc is the key. You got to get zinc into the cells to have an antiviral activity. And guess what? Quercetin is an ionophore. Hydrochloroquine is an ionophore. Quercetin is an ionophore. It lets zinc get in there. Another very, very powerful piece. So when you really look at all these capabilities of zinc, right? For quercetin, you're seeing it has a multiplicity of effects. It's not only doing just one thing, it's having a multiplicity of effects. Now, quercetin, what does it do? Let's say this is your body type. Quercetin stabilizes motions. If someone's erratic, it calms you down. It increases conversion, or what we call in the Indian system pitta, which means it supports digestion. And it also increases kapha storage, strength. It builds your infrastructure, your bones and tissues and all those kind of things. So quercetin calms you down, supports digestion, increases digestive activity, and lowers this. So what should the dosaging be? Again, this is not a medical show. You should talk to your doctor, but what I'm going to share with you is what the science says about dosaging. So what does the science actually say? Well, the science says a maintenance dose is around 500 milligrams. By the way, if you look at most of the pills, are about 500 milligrams. Quercetin for hypertension, which means high blood pressure, according to Edwards et al., about 750 milligrams. And the dose for exercise performance is, again, that maintenance dose, about 500. So 500 is a good maintenance dose, but it'll also support exercise performance. All right. So what do we have? In summary, we have quercetin activates the cells of the innate immune system. So that means the cells that are your innate early system. But quercetin also inhibits inflammatory enzymes, such as lipoxygenase and inflammatory cytokines involved in the cytokine storm. And then quercetin mitigates allergic reactions. So you want to think about this as pollen season comes. And then quercetin acts as an ionophore for zinc, thereby enhancing the antiviral activity. So again, I just want to quickly have everyone look at that so you can see that quercetin has some very multi-part effect. It supports your innate immune system, it makes sure you modulate the cytokine storm, and it mitigates allergic reactions. And it also acts as an ionophore, so zinc comes in and zinc can stop viral replication. So there we go. There's quercetin. So anyway, I hope this is valuable, everyone. Be well, be the light, and God bless you all. Thank you.